Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Piqued, a meetup for electronic music makers. I'm your host, Corey Luna. On AV is Rich Hogben, and tonight we are featuring Stujay and Thierry Holweck. We will have Stujay's performance first, followed by his interview, and then we will have Thierry Holweck's performance, followed by his interview. And please make some noise in the comments on YouTube and Twitch. If you have any questions, please let us know, and I'll be sure to ask our artists your questions about their music tonight. And we'll be getting started in just a moment. And we've already got some wonderful people here in the chat. Oh, I am excited to say hello to all of you. This is awesome. So it is December 22nd. It is December 16th, 2022 at 7 p.m. And we also, and just so you know, Thierry is in France, and must be about maybe 4 a.m. over there now. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with us thanks for getting up this morning. Really appreciate it. So let's go on over to Stujay's music, and then we will have a little chat with him afterwards. So Rich, when you are ready, let's check out Stujay. Stu, that was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell us, when I asked you to perform, how did you get prepared?
This was a great challenge for me because, well, I'm a new dad and I've got a 5-month-old baby. Time is
Congratulations.
limited. Usually, thank you. Usually, when I get to perform live or a show like this, I like to prepare something with take time and different parts and clean and I love doing that. And I was so stressed out because I was going to do it a week ago and then I couldn't, and then 4 days ago and then 3 days ago and I couldn't, and
Oh
so I
no.
eventually tried to let go of that stress and embrace the spirit of modular and this synth community. And I've been doing these not nightly, but every few nights I've been posting what I call meditations, and they've been just I'll start at 9 p.m., something chill, and post it by midnight, and I call it midnight meditations. I've done 18 of them, and they actually make me, I don't know how the listeners feel, but they make me feel, whoever might be listening, they make me feel good. And so I thought, you know what, I'm really stressed out. This was last night. I've been invited as a guest. I'm just going to take a few things, put them on this table, and see what happens. And that's what I did. Some things I tried didn't work. So, for example, I really wanted to incorporate the O coast. And I think I had it plugged into a couple of things, but it really wasn't, not the O coast, the O control. Wonderful sequencer, just wasn't working out for me. So I just abandoned it. And I just kind of went with I made a little effects pedal with noise engineering Versio, running Desmodus, the new, somewhat new Chaos Causalin frequency shift, and the Make Noise Mimeophone. That's what was in the little 4MS pod. And I was not really changing any rhythmic elements whatsoever or tone elements on DFAM, but just seeing what I could pull out of it in real time through that effects a pedal of sorts that I created and having fun with it. And then I put a very simple sequence through Dreadbox Typhon, running through the Soma Cosmos pedal, which I turned on occasionally. And I kind of went with that, and it felt really good to not overthink too much. I hope others found it relaxing or enjoyable to some degree. I know I felt good when I did it, and it was definitely something different for me to just do a 20-minute piece without too much structure. So that was what was behind it. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It was cool. It was had a little
thank you.
bit of darkness to it. Little, it was a little creepy, but it wasn't, like almost like Friday 13th or Halloween kind of style in terms of like horror movies, like 80s
Yeah,
horror or maybe late 70s horror, where it's kind of like a slow build
I
and
take
it
that as
just
a huge compliment, by the way. I love
it's really good.
getting a little dark, a little cinematic and dark. So, yeah, I'm glad.
Yes, definitely like
Yeah,
early John Carpenter style. That was
that's
fun.
great.
Cool.
Thank you. I'll take it.
30, what how did you feel about Stujay's piece?
I really like that it sounds really improvised, building something. That's what I like and what I have our time to do. So yeah, and John Carpenter is like a good reference. And I really like the sound of the rhythm because it's not like I'm not fan of rhythm box sound. I really like the fact that you build a rhythm with sense like that, with noise, and I think there is a great groove on it, and I really enjoy that. Yeah, that makes you more in the ambient part than
Yeah,
other electronic music.
yeah.
Um, Not a huge
And that was
fan.
fun for me too, because
Yeah,
many of those rhythms came as a surprise to me. I could sit here and say, oh, yes, I intentionally got, there were moments I had a clock going into the mimeophone, so that was clocked. But otherwise, I was just playing with the Causalin and the Versio and the mimeophone. And every once in a while, I'd throw in a square wave LFO into a parameter or just turn it knob. And suddenly I'm just as surprised as perhaps you are at some of the really cool rhythms coming out of it. And one thing that I got from this exercise last night was I want to do more of that. I love the electron boxes. I love them. They're wonderful. But wow, I had a lot of fun making rhythms, not even with the DFAM, but with what it was running through. Those three were a really fun combination. So I'm
yeah,
glad you
it
enjoyed
sounds
that.
really
Thank
cool.
you.
I really like it.
Okay, we've
Somebody
got a
asked if I
question.
was using a vocoder. Was Cosmos making the sound that was like a voice? No, that was a combination of. I tripped on setting knob settings on the Dreadbox Typhon, I believe. That suddenly I threw out those vocal type sounds, and yeah, a happy accident, which is what's so great about what we do. It the happy accidents, so yeah, I can't tell you how it happened, but it did, and great. The rhythm against delay plus stuff I couldn't understand sounded great. Thank you, thank you. And on the Mimeophone, I was playing with different, some of it's different. I don't know if you call them algorithms, and switching between them and seeing what would happen. Sometimes it would be the transition that would have a really interesting rhythm, and then once it settled into the new algorithm, it to me lost that interest, and like, oh, it was that shift where the clocking became off in an interesting way. So I found a lot of beauty in those transitions, beauty to me in those transitional moments. Hey, Frog.
Stu, how did you get into playing synthesizers and electronic music in general? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. My background is a classically trained competitive classical pianist since age 3, and until about 5 years ago, I really I was a little bit lost in music, and didn't really feel that I had a voice or an outlet. I was a little bored with it, and I wound up watching Dead Mouse's masterclass because I wanted to see how people are making music with laptops. That shows you how much I knew. I never heard of a DAW. I didn't know what a DAW was 5 years ago. Not a clue. And
Wow.
and for the first 7 or 8 episodes, he has this. He doesn't address it, but he's got this wall of Eurorack behind him, and I just couldn't wait for him to start talking about what that was, because whatever that was looked far more interesting than whatever he was talking about in his DAW there. Nothing against DAWs whatsoever, but then he started talking about Eurorack, and I knew just watching that, I was like, oh wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. And I walked into Perfect Circuit, like so many of us have who live in the area. I said, what's this? What's an oscillator? What should I start with? And I said, loud enough for the store to hear, I'm just going to get a few modules and leave it at that. And everybody laughed, as they should have. And it's been a 5-year journey. And with the downtime with COVID, grateful to have not fallen ill or lost anyone really close to me. But with that downtime, I was able to really throw myself into it and learn. And man, it's the greatest. Yeah. And yeah, I learned about Electron. I have some standalone synths now, and I just love it.
And what have been some of your favorite pieces that you have learned to enjoy over your 5-year journey into modular or electronic music?
Even people who are watching, I'm inspired by so many people who CK sample, right? And now I have crippling debt. Thanks, CK. Honestly, some of the people who are watching right now, Frank Martin, Antone, Alex, aka he's gonna kill me, Oski Diggy, CK, are people who've inspired me and whose music I love listening to, and just honored to be a part of this community. And I've never even listened to electronic music before I started getting into it myself. And now, oh wow, did you all X Twin?
Yep.
To check them out. Like I'm so. But it's like I said, it's like I just jumped into this alternate universe and have been loving it. For the past few years. I love what Lisa Belladonna does with her modes. I love the more old-fashioned synthesis as well. Old-fashioned as in, you're ripping 70s and 80s Oberheim style sounds. I'm just loving it, just discovering all of it. It's just like a playground.
Yeah, Lisa Belladonna's a sweetheart in person, by the way.
Yeah, she's been a coach of mine. Every month or two, we have an online lesson. She's, helping me get it together. It's taught
That's
me a
awesome.
lot too. Yeah.
That's really great to hear. Not being in the LA area, I did get to experience going to Perfect Circuit Audio once last year in October. I was actually my girlfriend and I were actually visiting Rich and his wife, and we took a trip over there just because I said, hey, we got to go. So dropped off a couple of Piqued stickers and bought a couple of patch cables, and they're like, "Yeah, Pete." I don't think they've really heard of it, but that's okay.
And you never, it's great. And that's where everyone goes. I was in there and there's James Blake and he's like, what are you looking at? I'm like, what are you looking at? These people I admire go there, and it's just great grateful to be near it, just to be able to get my hands on things and check things out. Yeah.
So something going back to some of your musical inspirations, as you mentioned, some wonderful people like Lisa Belladonna. What are some of the other musicians or bands that have influenced you over the years that would be people that you have aspired to even before modular and going into playing electronic music?
Because of my background as a classical musician, I actually, and because I'm so new to the world of electronics, there really weren't too many electronic musicians. I liked Brian Eno, I knew Brian Eno. I love Brian Eno. I'm still educating myself. So the influences I have are actually not from the electronic world, but I think music is a language. And it all applies regardless of what instrument you're playing. So for me, I like Chopin. I like John Cage. I like a lot of the romantic classical, modern classical, and when I do get melodic, I'm inspired by them. And as I'm discovering new electronic artists, I'm inspired by them as well, and seeing how perhaps I'm still finding my voice. I hope 5 years from now, I have a sound. I'd love to have I think I'm getting there. But I love trying to kind of melt all of that together.
I think you're on the right path, because I think for a lot of us, it starts with one piece, and we start to grow our collection of electronic pieces, whether it be Eurorack or a standard synthesizer or just pedals, and experimenting with what you could make out of it. And eventually you'll fall in love with certain pieces that will stay with you as other pieces rotate from your sound, and you'll start to gather a sound and a rhythm and beats that are custom to you, and the audience will pick up on those notes throughout your timeline.
Yeah. One thing that was a revelation when I went into Perfect Circuit was, like so many others, I love Radiohead. I've loved watching them develop and grow and change and try new things. Love Radiohead, and to me, what they did was incomprehensible. It's just magic, and that's all there is to it. That's how they make these sounds. It's magic. And I go into Perfect Circuit, and I look up a pedal. I've never heard of, what's this old blood noise? What is this pedal? And I look it up, and there's Johnny Greenwood saying, "Oh yeah, that's how I got that sound on Let Down." And then I'm on the one hand inspired. Oh, really? I can play with that pedal too? And crushed, because it's not entirely magic, although it is. The best pedal is his brain, But to see that these tools are accessible and available, and that with some imagination and an awful lot of work, I might be able to express myself in that way. Like, that's just huge. So yeah, for me, my musical world has exploded in the past 5 years. I've never been able to have output before, because I didn't really sit and compose on the piano too much. Yeah.
You bring up a great point of hearing something that sounds like magic, and then you get to talk to the artist about how they created that composition, or you get to learn the instruments that they were using, and all of a sudden the glue starts to come together, and you start to understand how it was made. There was this really wonderful time at the first Synthplex back in 2019 in Burbank. I was in a panel for I can't remember his name right now. Junkie XL. I cannot remember his real name right now. Tom Holkenberg. He was. I was there doing photography for the event, and got to sit front row in his panel. And he talked about doing, and there was lots of questions, of course, but one of the questions brought up was when he was working on the soundtrack for Deadpool. And he's got this one really, I mean, of course he did the whole thing, but there's this one iconic sound where he talks about how he's got the synthesizer that made the sound from, I think, Michael Jackson's Thriller, I think it was, and just like that beginning sound, and he's got the synth, and he used it for one track, and that was it. He's not going to use it anymore. He just used it for that one sound, that one track. And it's just those little moments of when the artist really explains what they're using and how they made that sound, and then you relate it to other like pieces that you've heard throughout the years, and it just kind of it all comes together, and it's just wonderful to hear those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been paying attention to the Oberheim OBX8 release, and I really, I like those old style synths as well. And reading about the history of, in fact, Thriller incorporated Oberheims and Moogs, and Quincy Jones very specifically picked specific synths for specific moments, just as you said, like 5 seconds here, 2 seconds there, and incredible. It's incredible. To know in your head what you want it to sound like, and to have the knowledge of the tools to get it done.
Absolutely. Thierry, you've done some compositions for soundtracks. I was curious if you have any comments on this subject.
Each time I felt lucky to have the opportunity to work with other people, and I had also some synchro. So I've made songs, and they were used, so they were not created specifically for TV shows. Twice I was in TV shows like Grey's Anatomy, and the other one was Beverly Hills, and I didn't like the show. I like the money, but I would have preferred to work on the like indie movie stuff, which I really like. But it's thrilling in a way, that to be chosen. And after that, the music I made for other stuff, that's always interesting to work for theater or dance company, stuff like that, when it's happened. And because you have to work on, it really works with modular in a way. It's not like you can follow the image, IDs, feelings, and I feel that modular really helps with that. So, but there is no recipe for me. It's like, let's see what's happened. So
that was
I don't like.
Part of my fun with this one last night is I have a studio that's beautiful, and it's a big, big, beautiful case and all these modules. And usually I go in there and I put the camera on that, but I wanted limitations, and it was just, I almost randomly picked like this. I'll grab the Mother 32 and the DFAM, and let's go. And that's fun. I don't know. It was so much fun just to do that.
I think it's really great that you chose to minimize the amount of tools, amount of pieces to create this composition. And to me, and I think a lot of us, it's a really wonderful thing to know what modules sound like, and then choose and make that palette only customized to a few sounds, and experiment with what you can do.
I don't know if he's still watching, but Patrick O'Brien was on before, and sometimes I love to what I call light up the room and use everything that I have, and then I'll watch him do a stream with like 30 HP of modules, and he's pulling. You think there's 4 musicians in a studio full of stuff, but no, it's just Patrick O'Brien working with this tiny little setup. So yeah, it's kind of inspiring me to shrink things down a bit.
Absolutely. It's really impressive of what a musician or artist can compose with such a small amount of equipment. And granted, the technologies have gotten much more advanced so that you can actually, with digital synthesizers, you can pack so much into such a smaller space than compared to a few decades ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So we are almost. I think we're about ready to jump into Thierry Holweck's piece. And Rich said he's got it all ready, queued up. So, Stu, please stay on. You're welcome to stay on
Absolutely.
and chat with us after the second piece. And let's have a listen to Thierry Holweck's piece. Go ahead, Rich. Thierry Holweck, everyone. That was awesome.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Thierry, thank you so much again for coming on Piqued, being up at very early in France. I apologize again for that. But again,
This is the world, man. This is the world. You are at the other side, so
yeah.
what can we do with that? Nothing.
Thanks. Thank you for dedication. It's very nice. And that was a
No,
wonderful composition.
thank you for having me, and bravo to Stu about his set. I really enjoy, and I'm really I agree a lot about a lot of stuff you did say in your interview about the synchronization. You know, with the yeah, I use it sometimes, and I like chaos because chaos it's the beginning of things. So yeah, I'm learning a lot about what you are saying about composing and using all that. You know, and we share the same recorder.
Yeah, it's very handy. And I
own studio.
loved your piece, and you know, because there is chaos in it, but it's also you also get the sense that that chaos is absolutely controlled by you in a very musical way, in a thoughtful way, and very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, the clock is not. You have to kill the clock sometimes and break the rhythm, and yeah, that makes the modular interesting for me, and keep it really small. And so I made my box by a friend in Italy, and I paint it, and I will change module in it. I start, but I keep this small box. I don't want to be larger than that because I can't afford it. And it's really cool to use, as you said before, like minimal gear and deal with that. I mean, it's like that's one of my stuff too.
Yeah.
So Thierry, tell us about when I asked you to perform for Piqued. How did you approach your composition? Where did you start?
I just bought some. I'm buying some new module to exchange with other. So this is the sound you heard. It's the last one. I mean, I'm changing all the stuff right now. So I was in emergency to do it in a way that buying a new module means like dedicated a lot of time to integrate it in your box, your set. So and I'm working for a live session, live show in January. So it's a good start for me. So I was like, yeah, it's a great time to go back in my sequences and work on that. So it will be a bit similar to what I will do in January, except that I change my sequences and my note all the time. I have hard time to keep the same notes, and because I'm bored, I don't imagine to do the same show every night, so I have to change stuff. So because it's boring. Still understand me, I'm sure of that.
Well, that keeps every performance unique and fresh.
Yeah, and patching, trying new stuff, and I use morphaging. I have my bank of sound, so it's not like I use some samples. Sample basically they are like cracky wood stuff, you know. I break stuff. I like to break stuff, so I record it, and I never know where I will use it. So recently I put animal sounds in it, and I don't know where I will use it when. So it's part of, you have elements and you mix them. The only thing is like permanent is the notes when they are in the sequencer, because I like notes, I like melodies, and I like classical music. I'm more like I like bar stuff like that.
Mhm.
And Chopin is not easy to do on the modular sense.
You need a really good sequencer for that.
Yeah, I'm not great for that. So I have this bunch of notes sequences, morphaging, like I use it when I feel it, and the other stuff. So and patching, and yeah, this is the beauty of modular music.
Thierry, uh, how did you come across starting to use theremin in your compositions?
I think, in fact, I had toys like a theremin, and I use it on stage. Was maybe 10 years ago. Was piece of shit, really. Was like, and uh, we made with my band. We made a song like we have an album, but we could use one or two songs more. And I remember we are in Charlottesville, Virginia, and one afternoon I was bored. We had a fight with my bandmate, and I go back in my place and put a couple of chords, and she came, she said, "Oh, I like it." She put some words, and in 2 hours we make this track, and I put theremin, I play some drum stuff. Yeah, I don't know. So our manager was around and say, "She's the best song ever." I say, "Yeah, I don't know." Uh, and 2 years ago was in Grey's Anatomy. They put, so I was like, yeah, the E gave me luck. So I decided to buy a real one. Uh, this is a really great instrument, and I check on the web and I learn the story and I read book about the guy we invented. So this is the first real electronic instrument based on the fact he was building a radio. And when you have a radio, you touch the antenna, you have the noise, and it start to. That's the way it starts. So um, I read a lot. I learned a lot from this guy and the story, because it's about romance, spy story. It's Leon Theremin. His story is like, wow, it's really impressive. And I made a conference about Theremin in Sweden. So and I try to learn, and this is the most difficult instrument, because there is no. While you are on a guitar, you have neck, keys on the keyboard. I mean, you have to put something. You put your finger on something. Even a violin, you have, so you can have a reference, and the reference on theremin there is not. It's air, so it's tough, and I like it when it's tough. I like it. It's mysterious instrument. There is a lot of things about, and there is kind of bubble. You know that there is the antenna, and there is this bubble, and with the volume and the antenna. So um, you have to be in the bubble mentally too, because it's like uh, that's the reason when I play theremin, you look at my face, it's like I'm like a sphinx. It's like. Uh, because you have really to focus. And about meditation, this is uh, great. I mean, if people are into meditation, you can't play this instrument if you are not 100% focused on it. So, but I'm not the best. We were mentioning there is so many artists. They do a great job. I'm not. I'm still kind of amateur. You know. Because you have to pass, I guess, about 1 hour or 2 hours per day training to really do something great.
Yeah, we have earlier. You and I were talking about Coralie Arranger, also known as
Yeah,
Theremin C
yeah.
in Switzerland,
Mm-mm.
and it's really wonderful to hear how you approach theremin, and knowing her process, which is much more in the school of theremin, I would say, where
Yeah.
she talked when I talked to her about it. She taught me that to have a theremin is a very personal instrument. That it's each theremin is tuned to that person, to one person, and and there's a stance. If you're going to play a theremin, you have one particular place that you stand, and you don't move from that
No.
position, so that you stay in tune with your instrument. And it seems like a very technical instrument to play.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's great. I mean, but there is this bubble, and you can't enlarge the bubble. And the bubble is about like the bass, the treble. More you go close to the antenna, more you go in the trebles. And so there is this distance, and this distance is obviously personal. So yeah, you have the circle around, and you have this distance, and there is a small knob. You can deal with that, but you don't use the knob. It's set for you, and you have to have your feet at the right place and the right distance. So you need to practice just for that, just to have the right distance, your own distance. So I know mine. But there is some people, they are closer to it. They have their hands really close to the antenna. Other they need like, and this is like a neck of a guitar. When you see like there is the case, they are smaller to the neck and bigger there. So it's the same in the air. More you're closer to the antenna, more the distance are small. So yeah, it's not. It's but it's. I mean, I don't want to say that it's terrible, really hard. It's a lot of fun. I mean, so you can use it just to do noise if you want. And now there is version you can put a controller on it. A MIDI controller, so you can um, use it for some as another purpose. But Corey does a great job about that. After that, there is other artists, they use it like just to like start drum, boom, psh, boom, psh. Uh, uh, I'm not really happy about the.
Do you ever use yours for CV control on the modular?
I don't use it. I mentioned Corey because she used it for that, and she does a great job. And it's about techniques. She did create and work with other people to create a controller. I don't. I use it like the natural way. I put a reverb in the back. You can use a delay, but delay is it's hard because if you hit the wrong note, you will have your bloody wrong notes. Ding,
You'll hear
ding,
it 10
ding,
times.
again,
Yeah.
again. So never use the delay. I tell you that, guys. Reverb, it's shorter, about incident.
Yeah.
So, but the fact is not really in tune. I like it too. It's like modular. You have to sometimes they are not. It's never exactly in tune. And recently, I was approached by a publishing company, and they were like, "Yeah, we really like the stuff, but it's not really in tune." I say, "Yeah, that's it. That's the way it is. So deal with that. If you want my music, I will not. I record with my 4-track. I put that in the DAW just for a mix, cut some bass on the book eventually, and I send that to the rec label, and they deal with that. They do the mastering, and they do a great mastering. And part of the reason I like to work with them. And that's it. I mean, there is no mixing, there is no screen. And I don't know about you, Stu, but I really like the fact that we are not in front of the screen anymore.
Yeah.
We are in front of the instruments, and working on the DAW. And I love Logic Audio Pro, but I'm really tired about working on production with plugins and to be in front of a screen, a computer.
Mm.
So that's
I feel the
I
same
think
way.
it's about focus. Yeah, I don't know if you agree with me, but it's about focusing. Your eyes are on your instrument only, and that's a better way to work on music. I think we lost that a bit, being in front of screen all day long. That's my
I like
opinion.
something tactile, something you can touch.
Yeah,
The DAWs are amazing, but my workflow, I need an instrument to touch. I need something to touch.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So
I think you both have a great point where we, as musicians, as artists, we want something that we can feel, something that we can interact with. And sure, you can interact with a DAW in soft sense, but it's not the same feeling as something tangible. But you can turn those knobs, press the keys, change those patch cables. It's much more intricate and personal to each other, to yourself, in relation to the instrument and yourself as the artist.
yeah, I mean, this is something really personal. I mean, everybody does the music the way he likes. But personally, I've passed a lot of years in production in front of the screen. And when I start electronic music, uh, I remember I used like MC80 Roland sequencer, like a screen like that. And yeah, we didn't use like a computer in a way. So it was like going to modular was like going back in the past for me in a way. And I did start because Moog made the Mother 32, which was affordable and semi-modular. So uh, it was my start in modular instrument
Same.
because
It's the first instrument. It's the first electronic instrument I ever touched. Was a Mother 32 at Perfect Circuit, and life-changing moment. Literally.
yeah, you can
So
do a lot with small stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I will never change it.
we have a question from the audience. Lamel asks, "It felt really orchestrated, your piece, Theory." He's wondering,
Uh,
how many voices were you working with tonight?
the trick is I use the Moog like high notes and bass. So I use sometimes like Euclidean rhythm, and so I start with the treble note, tit, 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 and I record over like bass note, and it fall where it falls. It's like, and after that I have an endorphin complex VCO, but I use only one sound from it. And until recently, I used the cloud, and in the cloud, the mutable instrument cloud, reverb
Hmm.
and delay. But about delay, I like to pitch it too and create a melody. It's kind of sometimes funky, but and I use the ring also, but more in a percussive way because it's hard to tune it correctly. That's it. But the fact, for example, when you have a sequence, you can use like for the Moog. It's really interesting because people ask me the same question all the time. It's just like you can record like you can use like treble notes, really ding, and you can integrate other notes in a sequence, and that's make it a bit bigger. And it sounds like there is many voice, but at least there is 2, 3 if you include the rings in it. So it's not much.
No, it sounded bigger than that many voices, but
Was I
maybe that's
hearing some fracture? Did you use WMD's fracture for some of
No,
the? No. Okay.
no. I
Wow.
mean, I do a lot with the R mode. I use the R mode to keep my notes, my sequences. I can record it. That's really I really like that. And you can also use it for the Euclidean rhythm, which I use a lot. I mean, And but not only. Sometimes I record my notes like, there is no like metronome or stuff like that. I just record stuff, and I don't really care if it's in rhythm. What I really like in your mode too is like the fact that on the tracks you can like have 8 step on one, 9 step on the other. You can work with that, and that's the technique I borrow from minimalism music, like Steve Reich and all the technique from minimalism music. Even I don't like Steve Reich music, but I really love the technique they use in this area of time and music. Uh, I use the techniques and try to use what it's cool, like to understand the fact that you can put some notes and other notes, and they match at first, they don't match after that, and it rebounds after a while. So it's really interesting as technique. But I like notes. I mean, it's not not only noise, but the fact to have noise and harmonies and melodies. This is my background of classical musician too. Sorry, but that's yeah. I made my career in a hardcore punk music as a guitar player, but I still have my background of a classical pianist.
Thierry, going to your roots, where did you start playing music, and how did you transition from, say, punk into electronic music?
Because I'm easily bored. I need to learn all the time. I mean, it's life. It's about learning things about everything. I'm reading a lot of books. I'm interested in arts, science. Doesn't mean I'm a scientist. I want to understand things. I want to learn things all the time. So uh, that's a problem because with my age, I'm not that young. When I was a kid, I was like in a rock music, and in the 90s, I remember we were like listening to the Mudhoney, the early Nirvana, and all the people from Touch and Go Record, and I met them. They were friends, and we were not able to play in a single bar because we were doing art stuff. And Nirvana came up, and so we signed in a major company. And the same people we reject our music, they became fan from in 2 days. There is potential money. So I had this opportunity, and music, it's to be at the right time with the right music, but you don't. It's accidental. It's luck, and at the same time, I have my background of classical guy, and interested in a lot of music. Have tons of vinyl CDs. So I don't want to be limited in a genre of music. So, and I used synthesizer for a long time ago. And so after a while I was bored, and sometime in bands when it's becoming bigger, the people, they want to redo exactly the same stuff, like and I really want the music to move, But so I left the band. Had personal issue too, and I went back in my bedroom with a scent, and I started to do electronic music, and that with plugin too, and screen, and so I start to do my own music, and I start to play in the States, so it was a dream come true. And this way I made my bandmate Cathy Compton, who are best mate forever. And it's not a matter to do music or not together, we are best mate, that's it. And kind of my sister. And we made this band called Pena Transport, like electronic pop. and life go on. We did tour a lot. We had a lot of fun and great time. And now she's living in Sweden, and no much time to do music anymore. And so I do my stuff. I mean, and she's there to do my art cover, help me with to describe my own music. So she's the first person I send my stuff, and I ask her like, do what you feel. Tell me what you feel about write it. She's a great writer, so we have the connection all the time. And we are really open people. I mean, I learn a lot in her company because she's really open mind and she's coming from another world in music and art. So it's always good to learn from other people, I think.
Theory, I agree with you very much that collaboration, having a musical partner, create really opens up your creativity and where you can go. There's so many unique ideas, and it's such a wonderful experience to meet someone that you can get along with, collaborate, and create something with. It's truly a wonderful experience when you can find the right people.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm working also with the rec label Umbrella Concrete. It's Umbrella Concrete sounds so French. When they contact me, the name of the rec label make me sign it. It's a small rec label, it's like indie small rec label, but the name of the rec label say, I want to do something with these guys, and even they are English people, they don't know how to play soccer really, but we love them, and but they have great artists, and we have great communication, and we exchange a lot of art, and that's collaboration too, and they treat me well. So we will do shows together, hopefully. And in England, I've never been there to play music, so it's a pin on my world map. Oh, I used to do that for years. I want to play there, and that's really cool. That's another way to collaborate, also to work with track label, because they give you a direct feedback and they give you trust and confidence sometimes. So because I don't know about Stu, but I record all my stuff live.
Yeah.
Uh, Most of the time outdoor when it's not like these days,
Hmm.
park or stuff like that. And sometimes I put a mic, external mic, to record what's around. And
Yeah.
I press rec, and I don't know how long it will be. And that's the way I do my record now. So I'm happy that there is a small rec label, small but great rec label to support my work. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stu, how do you usually do your recordings?
Most of them are, most but not all, I'd say 95% of them are just recorded live. Uh, Once in a while, if I'm inspired to do so, I'll multi-track something. Um, I Great Parrot. I've had her for six. I do like to record her from time to time and run her sounds through the Eurorack and see what I can pull out of it. So I haven't fallen too deep into the music concrete. Thank you, music concrete stuff, but a little bit. Starting to get into it a little bit more.
I think it's a great place to start, and kind of like going back into this 1960s with music concrete and hearing a lot of the composers then, what they were using, and how they were experimenting. Because I know that people like Don Buchla, when he was designing synthesizers, he was designing them to be an art piece rather than a rather than a piece of rather than like a musical piece. It was just designed to be an art piece and to be performed as an art piece. And even though he was designing them for musicians and sometimes not particularly musicians, but people who were just interested in creating sound, which is which to me is what is inspiring from the time of when music concrete began.
Yeah, there is like in France we had a school in the 50s with Pierre Henry and Pierre Schaeffer. They made like kind of school using like just recorder, reel to reel recorder, and I think like that's people really inspired me in a way. Pierre Henry, Pierre Schaeffer. And after that, they one of their students was a girl named Eliane Radig, which I really like. She uses sound from a sound, but there is no notes, but the sound is moving, growing, and that's a piece of art and music as well. So that's really interesting that now we are like we are rediscovering these people and enjoy it and follow the path somehow. And you can, there is a friend of mine called Philippe Petit. We create this site called Modulism. He's working for Modular Station. Maybe Stu is on Modular Station radio. Don't know about that.
No, not familiar with that.
I
No.
want to give you some
Okay.
contact.
Send us
It's
a link.
a radio station, internet radio specialized in electronic music, but oriented like to modular music and things like that. Yeah, I think you should be there. And Philippe is has this site, and it's about archive, not only, but so he dig in the old vinyl and stuff, contact people, the artists from these times, and put them on the internet. And sometimes it's you find like I remember I told me the story about I don't remember Alan Strange, you know, the guy who wrote this book about modular. Alan Strange, he called his wife, he's a long time deceased, but he had some original stuff and unreleased stuff, so he can use to for the people now to listen to. And I have to say that he's doing a great job. And it's all free on the internet. You can find everything for free on Bandcamp. There is no money to make for him. It's just like kind of historian of modular-based music. So, I mean, if you want modulism, the site is something like that. So it's really interesting and a source of inspiration. So you can check it out.
Yes, please, if you can, put a link in the chat for everyone to
I will.
explore, please.
Yeah.
That'd be very nice.
And right now he's doing like compilation, mixing the asking the like guys like Todd Barton to give him a piece and get a compilation with artists. And if you're on Modular Station and they like your stuff, you can be on. I mean, that's kind of cool. So yeah, we'll do that.
Well, thank you. That's a great piece of information for everyone to hopefully explore.
Yeah, it's really experimental music based, but it's really interesting. Yeah.
Thank you. Fantastic. Well, it is now 9 p.m. here, so it must be about 6 a.m. in France, I believe. And I want to say thank you very much to Stu and Thierry. Thank you so much for coming on to Piqued tonight. Today. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking with both of you tonight, and I hope to continue our conversation and our friendship to grow from here. And I'm really, and also I'm very happy to have you as our last artist to feature for the end of 2022 as we get into 2023.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was it's always inspiring and wonderful to hear the perspectives of the different artists that are out there playing with modular music, electronic music, not even modular specifically, although that is one of the biggest avenues of that is explored very much nowadays. But the fact that you can incorporate a theremin into your modular rig and it can be wonderful. And you don't even have to use modular, as we saw with Stu's performance tonight. There was a little bit of modular, but then it was standalone synths, some semi-modular, it was just a wonderful array of what you can do with some tabletop synths. Fantastic. Everything was wonderful tonight. You guys are great musicians, and I hope to explore more of your work. Thierry, I know you said that you've got some shows coming up next year. I really hope that people can come out. I know you're going to be going out to the UK sometime next year pretty soon, and I'm hoping that some other people that we know will be at your show. And
if they let me, I told you about my next show. If they let me go out, you can tell people the story.
yes. And Stu, are you performing live at all, or is that not really something you do?
Something I'd love to do more. Certainly in 2023, I'd like to do quite a bit more. I perform now and then with SoCal Synth Society. Once in a blue moon, I'll show up on an Earth Modular Society live stream, EMS. If people are interested in getting into streaming, join the EMS Discord and YouTube channel, and it's a wonderful, wonderful way to get streaming in front of supporting people who can help you out as you start that adventure. So EMS shout out for sure.
Simultaneously for EMS, which is a wonderful Discord, there's also, I would recommend people to check out the Golden Shrimp Guild on Discord. If you haven't checked them out, I can send you some links. They're really wonderful. I was just listening to them earlier tonight to get my energy up for tonight. And Wokas Messiah was playing in Oregon live earlier tonight. That was
nice.
He played a wonderful set.
Yeah, he's great.
Cool. Well, Stu, Thierry, thank you again for playing tonight. And we're gonna sign off. So everyone, please stay home, stay safe, and we'll see you in January of 2023. Good night.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.